And please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. So I'm very Lerner and I do a lot, although I don't do it all myself. So people ask me all the time, well, how do you do all these things? So I network, I collaborate, and I have JVs, and I work with a lot of amazing people that help me help others. And what I mean by that is I founded Bistan Services, which is a full service management consulting agency. And we do management, we do consulting and coaching and anything business related, including all kinds of business services. So I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, but I do have those people on hand. And one of the biggest things that we do is corporate training and development. So we actually help other people in their lives from the inside out. We do this by personal development, professional development, leadership, all that kind of stuff. And I founded not just the academy, but also a youth academy. So I also work with children, and we've developed a curriculum for them as well. I specialize in emotional intelligence, and I am a certified skills for success practitioner and relational skills trainer. So this is under the government of Canada, of course, but it is based on also a US model. So I have international clients that I work with. Today we're going to focus on these skills for success in a rapidly changing world and why they're so important. And you can ask me anything afterwards. It would be too much to unpack it all here, but you can go on to my website, bizstance.com, or you can go to my LinkedIn profile and get all my contact info.
Awesome. And go ahead with the subject matter.
Amazing. Okay, I have to just get it up on my screen, and then you can let me know if you see it. Share. And let's see. Okay, are you able to see this?
Yes.
Okay, you see it well?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so skills for success are a bunch of different skills, or I call them tools, that we can have under our belt in order to be a better version of ourselves at any given moment and continuous learning and development. As I said, I am certified as a Skills for Success workplace practitioner, and we work with companies not just in Canada but all over the world, and a relational skills trainer. So this enables me to give over the information in a way that everybody can get at their own level, and we do have incremental teaching as well. So the first part of Skills for Success, obviously, is adaptability, because in an ever changing and always progressing world, we need to be able to embrace change. And that means adapting quickly to new environments, challenges, people, cultures, languages, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the continuous learning that I've said before, because we need to stay open to different perspectives and ideas, and also different things that come our way from external stimuli. And when we're focused on something, a lot of people get sidetracked by all the noise, and we need to know how to embrace that change but still stay current to what it is that we're doing and focusing on. Then we've got the collaboration, of course, because we can't do everything on our own. So we need to be working together. We need to work together with others, whether it's our family, our friends, our coworkers, our employees, our vendors, our service providers, or even when you go into a grocery store, you need to be able to communicate with the people behind the counter, or the clerks, at the bank. Wherever you go, you need to be able to work together in order to come out to a mutual agreement or resolution to whatever it is that you're doing. So this means building really strong relationships with the people around you, and open communication and trust is also part of that. And then, of course, exploring mutual growth opportunities for work collaborations, but also if you're in school, we need to teach our children how to collaborate well with others so that they can have this skill for when they are older. And leveraging diverse perspectives is really great because we're enhancing our problem solving and creativity, and we're looking at it from all kinds of different ways because we don't know it all. So if someone says to you, I know everything, then assume they know nothing. Because if you are so closed-minded, you're not open to learning from a different way of doing things or about things that are coming, changes that are being made, updates that are being made to anything at any given time. Communication. So this is not just verbal, but the words that we're using and not using, the tone of our voice, the expressions, the body language. Every culture has a different way of communicating, and every person has a different way of communicating, and we need to know what that is, especially when we're leading others and we want to impact them in a certain way. So articulating thoughts clearly to engage the diverse audience. We're using various formats to enhance understanding and retention. And what is communication? Really, it's information back and forth, right? You take it in, you let it out. And we need to know how to be able to do that effectively so that there's nothing missing in translation. And then we have creativity and innovation. So this is about not just creating something, which that's part of it, of course, but leading and developing, right? So we need to have, again, the open mindset for our original ideas, because our ideas are inspired by things around us and the things that we have access to or exposure to, right? You can be looking at something, listening to someone and say, hey, I can use that in my business, or I know how to make that better, or I have an idea on how to develop this in a more efficient way. So that creativity is only by, again, paying attention to what's around us, and encouraging collaborative brainstorming to inspire unique solutions. So we don't know everything. We can't do everything. We can't be all things to all people all the time, right? So it's about how can we leverage the other people's creativity, the other people's ideas, or we're going to get into this too, but AI and things like that that are available to us. Which of course brings me to digital literacy, which is technology and AI tools. So digital literacy is very broad. It's a huge spectrum, but mastering the technologies and the tools that are available to us to maximize the productivity and results is amazing, because there are so many things that can cut down on time and cost. And even the knowledge that we need to have, a lot of, done for you, done with you services are available, and just platforms that have become available to us to be able to leverage their skills and abilities rather than having to rewrite everything. I mean, can you imagine having to create something like this where you have to do every single thing by yourself rather than using tools that are easily available and readily available for us? And then, of course, staying safe online while leveraging digital resources. And this really speaks to a lot of the scams that are out there, a lot of the phishing, a lot of the AI tools that can be used to be harmful or to be helpful, right? Anything that we have access to, we can use in a negative way, or we can use in a positive way. So a lot of people are scared of AI. A lot of people don't trust it. But if you know how to use it properly, if you know how to leverage it properly, it can really be a lifesaver. And it can take your business or your life from one place and transform it to a different place very quickly if you know how to use the right things in the right ways. So AI can be your best friend. It can also be your worst enemy. It just really depends on how you use it and where it's going to take you. And this is something I can sit on for a long time. We don't have time right now. But if you have questions around this, I'm happy to have that conversation with you, because I'm a big fan of using AI in the right way in order to help you get to the next level. It's always about leveling up. Numeracy is beyond the math, right? It's not just about money or numbers or anything like that. It really is critical thinking and the way that we make decisions, right? In every situation, every single day, we have to make decisions. And so the numeracy helps us with understanding documents, right? Literacy, spreadsheets, things like that, but also about the organizational processes and systems. And I have, Bizstance, we've developed our own way of creating systems, and call it the BizSam, right? So it's the simplify, systemize, and automate method And when we do this, we take things and take the complicated and make them a little bit easier. And then once we dumb it down a bit and not taking anything away from it, then we implement easier systems that can be tracked and maintained. And when I look at businesses specifically, and I've done this for many years, is when we do our analysis, we see that it doesn't matter what size of company it is or what the background is, what industry it's in, who they have working and how many people they have working there. When a business doesn't do well, doesn't perform, doesn't function, or fails, it's always because of systems or people or both. And when you have the right people in place and the right systems in place together, it's a beautiful marriage that helps the business along. And even in your home, when you teach your kids to do things the right way and you have the proper systems in place, it's very easy to follow the routines. And this is sort of like a safety net that you have, so everybody knows what they're doing at all times. There's no confusion. It takes away a lot of the mess, repetitive things, money wasted, all of those things that we don't like to do as business people. Those systems that we put into place are really great. Some of them are digital systems and some are not. So when we think about systems, do we really understand what that means? Probably not. We're looking at it from a very, high level place. But when you dig deep, it's so effective to put things in place, processes and procedures, central places for people to access information. Again, I can talk about this forever, but I won't. We'll go on to the next thing, which is problem solving. And if you think about it, when you have to problem solve, you need to identify the challenges clearly and early, because if you let things go, as we were just talking before this, Elena was talking about, paying your taxes on time. So you need to think about what it is that you're trying to solve, the problems that you're trying to prevent before they even occur. And so identifying challenges clearly means understanding the root cause. So when you know what will cause a problem, you know how you can prevent it. And if you don't know what will cause a problem and you face a problem, then it's about understanding that there is a problem. So awareness, right? Number one. And then trying to tackle it and figuring out how do we properly address this. And then developing the practical solutions is through the critical thinking, through the analysis, through looking at it from every single angle and in depth. Right? That way you're addressing, like I said, the root cause and not just band-aid solutions that often lead to much more complicated situations. Reading is something that's very important with skills for success, because you need to understand what you're reading. You need to really soak it up, internalize it, and then be able to process it and understand and decode what it is that's written there. So complex texts, we're not just talking about novels here that are very fun or sometimes sad to read, but we are talking about analyzing information that's being given to us. So when you're reading, a lot of it is subliminal messaging as well, especially in business. And so we need to understand what goes on behind it. Also, you need to understand who wrote what you're reading, because not everyone is at the same level. So again, there needs to be a trust factor here, who you're following, because a lot of people have great intentions, but they may not be the best expert to be able to help you. So understanding, knowing where you're getting your information and being able to decode that really enhances that critical thinking. And then being able to take that and transfer it into real practical things, like applying the insights that we read, because we want to make informed decisions. And also, we don't just want to have books that we're collecting and that are causing us to do a lot of dusting around the house, but they're not, the information is sitting there, right? So what good is it to have a big library when you're not utilizing it to its full and maximum potential? And then, of course, the writing that comes after the reading, sometimes before, but getting it down and out. So you're getting it out of your head and down on paper and into the world. So we know when we give something energy, it has a manifestation, and it's not something that's magical. So you have an idea, you're not going to get it out, and then all of a sudden, poof, it becomes real. But it is getting it out of your head, because when it's in our head, it's limiting us, right? So when we are thinking too much about it, when we're overanalyzing it, maybe we don't have the right context around it. When we get it out and we write it down or type it or wherever it is that you're doing it, you can actually go back and see it with a bird's eye view, and you can analyze it in a different way rather than having it mulling around in your mind. You're articulating your thoughts clearly, you're able to organize them better, you're engaging with the right audiences because here you're able to, compent, you have to take it into different ways and take it into using proper grammar and structure and take it in a way where people can understand it. So whether or not you're speaking to your colleagues, to your friends, to your loved ones, to wherever you are, public audiences, things like this, we're doing it live and here I am, I lost my words.
Very, give us a
Compartmentalize,
summary because we are out of time.
or I'm almost done. Compartmentalize is the word I was looking for. And that's okay. This is part of understanding the skills for success is when something goes wrong, you know how to quickly bounce back and come back to it later. You don't have to fumble for words. You don't have to do anything like that because it's all good and everyone loves us. So to summarize, as Dave is asking me to do, the skills for success are empowering you in a rapidly changing world because we need to learn, grow, and succeed. So as I said, I am a certified skills for success practitioner and relational skills trainer. I do a lot more than that, but this is really where I want people to shine, is to be able to help themselves. And if I can be part of that and impact even one person, then I've done my job. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can always connect with me online, or you can visit my website and get more information. Thank you so much for listening.
All right. So some of the keys that I heard was leverage, mastering tech. That's going to be a hard one since there's so much tech going on.
Right.
Simplify business system. That's one of the things that you do best. And problem solving, which is probably part of that business system as well. So those are some of the takeaways. So we have time for maybe two more questions. Two questions. Anyone with questions for Vered?
So while you're thinking about your questions, I'll just give you one little tidbit. So a lot of this ties in also to executive functioning, which is not just for executives, as I always say. Executive functioning, if you don't understand, the terminology is very loose, but it talks about working memory. It talks about cognitive flexibility and inhibition control. And really what that means is with the working memory is applying new and immediate information, which we talked about before, that adaptability, and working with the information that you have on hand. So some people are great with long-term or short-term memory and some people are not. So how do we maximize our own ability to process that and deal with it effectively and taking it from like one thing to the next? And then the cognitive flexibility is talking about adaptive or flexible thinking. So that means understanding what's going on in our head and being able to transform that. And the inhibition control is about the self-regulation, the consciousness, the attention, behavior, emotions, language, all that kind of stuff. So this really ties into more than just your workspace. It's about all parts of your life.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so if you don't have any questions, we're gonna release Vered off the hot seat, and then we'll put Karen on it next.
Very,
So
excuse me,
going
but very,
once, going twice.
just very quickly, very, first of all, thank you. That was really great.
Thank
And
you.
would you put your information in the chat,
I
please?
will, and I'll stop sharing so you can do the same thing.
In again. So Karen, just tell us a little about yourself and then move into your subject matter.
Okay, let me just get this up there. Okay. Okay, so I am going to read this basically, even though it's about me and I know it already, but I have to stick to time, so I can go on forever. So I'm Karen Shaw, your personal storyteller, which I'm sure most of you know already. I've always said that God created print traffic and said when Karen is ready for it, it's here for her. That's how perfect it was for me. I'm left brain, right brain, and it fed both sides perfectly. I was part of the creative team when I was in advertising, which fed the right side of my brain, and I created schedules telling team members what to do and when to do it, which definitely fed the left. I loved every minute of it, stress or not. I spent many years in the ad industry as director of print traffic, as well as production managers, which duties that included color correcting, working with staff and vendors on layouts, retouching, printing, etc. I'm also an organizer by trade and nature, creating schedules for every new ad and campaign, creating agency procedures, leading seminars for each staff and clients in various parts of the country. This experience has led me to work diligently on the organization, placement, and look of your images. I started my company, Picture This Photo Books, after being laid off from my last agency. I started a company that depended on events and vacations, and 3 months later, we were in a lockdown. So after joining several networking groups and referring to my company as Fluff, I met my coach and found I didn't even know what I didn't know, one being what I do for you. We had a one-to-one Zoom. This was me, actually. I forgot to change the slide. This was me when I was in traffic. I don't know if you can read it. It might be too small. So I met my coach, found out I didn't even know what I didn't know, one being what I do for you. We had a one-to-one Zoom, and the next day he called. He said he wanted to show me something that will knock my socks off. Unfortunately, I wasn't wearing any, but he certainly would have if I was. So he rebranded both my company and me. You name it, he changed it. I went so far out of my comfort zone, I couldn't even find it with my glasses on. So now I'm designing one of a kind photo books that bring a tear to your eye and your smile to your lips all at the same time. And story time with Karen. So I tell stories filled with memories and emotion on Story Time with Karen. It's not something that I sell. It's just something that I do. Picture This Photo Books tell your story, while Story Time with Karen reminds you of your story. So here we go. I'm going to talk about procedures. So you and I would have a conversation, a one-to-one on Zoom to discuss the size and configuration of your book, matte or glossy cover, color preference, and any other options that you have. I'll then request your photos be placed into groupings, placing the groupings in consecutive order. And then I will send you a video of my photo sorting process that shows how to make photo sorting less stressful, because that's usually the bump in the road that keeps people from following through on their desire to do a book. Once I receive your photos, I put them into folders marked unretouched and proceed to prep every photo that you send me. Those photos go into a folder marked retouched. And when that has been completed, I begin working on the design. And what I do is I don't do full on retouching, but I'll take out if there's an exit sign on the wall behind you, or a wire coming out of your head, or an electrical outlet. I will add color, take color out, recrop it, and just make them look better so that they pop off the page. And so then, let's see, where am I next? And so when that's been completed, I begin working on the design. When I've completed the book, then I send you a link for your comments or approval. I'll make your changes as it's your book, and I will not submit it for printing until I have your final approval. That's a promise. Okay. So once you have your approved your, I can't speak. Once you have approved your book, I submit it for print. The book will then be sent to me so that I can check it out. I don't want to find a yellow, I don't want you to find a yellow dollop of ink on your nose or anything to that effect. So I make sure it's perfect. And then once I do, I'll send it to you. If it's not perfect, I will let them know and they will reprint it gratis. So there's never a problem with that. So now talking about this front and back covers, I always put a surprise on your back cover. And someone once asked me, please make sure that it has something to do with the book. Well, Of course, I don't just put a blatant surprise. So it does have something to do with your book. So here's one example. Elvis has left the building is something that most people know about. So it wasn't certainly creative, but it was definitely a surprise. This one is a book that I did for my grandchildren and my kids. And so the back says, you know what, I love you. And that was something my father used to say to my sister and me all the time. It was written on birthday cards and everything. And so I kept that, and I say it to my kids, I say it to my grandchildren, so they always know uh, that I love them. So, and here are some inside pages. I don't use a template. So every book, every page is a one of a kind. There are no two that are alike. It's impossible. Someone once called me the photo whisperer because I said that your photos dictate their place on the page, which they do. This is a book that from a trip to Italy. And I also like to include an anecdote. My tagline is whimsical, casual, formal, and always uniquely you. And what that means, well, whimsical, casual, formal is basically the book is any way that it should be or that you want it to be. And uniquely you, it's always uniquely you because it's your photos, but it's especially uniquely you because there are times, not always, that I can put in a little anecdote. And for example, here I took my granddaughter to Italy and we went to the Leaning Tower of Pisa and we saw a lot of older people going to the top. So I bought tickets and we walked inside and I looked around and I said brilliantly, where's the elevator? And we both started to laugh. So when I did the book, I just put those three little words in small type underneath the inside of the tower. When she received her book, she became very nostalgic. And wasn't this beautiful? Wasn't this fun? Wasn't this delicious? And then she started to laugh. And I said, what's so funny? And she said, where's the elevator? So what happened was she read it, but in reading it, she heard my voice. So it brought her right back there and it gave the book another dimension, as well as what happens when you hear that song from high school. You hear the first three notes, you don't even hear the words, but you're right back in high school when you hear that. So that's what this does. This is another, just to show you a different type of layout. I thought that the background here was so lush and so beautiful that I made that the full two-page spread. And then the house that it refers to and some of the property is embedded into that spread. This one, oops. This one, this is why we charge by the page and not by the photos, because these are photos that you want to remember, but they need not be highlighted. And so there are, you can see many photos on the page. So on this left-hand page, this was in Lisbon, and we took a day tour to Sintra. So the left-hand page, the guy in blue is our tour guide, and then you see the castle, and it's kind of high up on a mountain. Somehow or other, we got to the front door of the castle. I don't remember how. We didn't even realize we were going up. And so this shows some interior and exterior photos. The page on the right tells its own story. The larger photo is an inverted tower. And so in order to get back down the mountain, you go down this old circular stone stairway to the very bottom of the tower. You come out through these pitch black caves. Fortunately, everybody had flashlights on their phones, so we were able to see it. We'd probably still be there. And then you come out. My friend, I don't know if you can see it. My friend likes spider webs, so I took a picture of the spider web as we came outside of the cave. And so that's the story that tells. So each there's a reason for everything, basically. This one is a book I did for my family. That's the one that had the you know what, I love you on the back cover. This one, what I did that was a little bit different than what I do for any of the others is everybody had a different background. I have 7 grandchildren. Everybody had their own spread. My daughter and son-in-law, son and daughter-in-law, everybody had their own spread, and I had my own. So everybody had a totally different background, kind of based on their personality or the favorite color, but everyone had hearts. each and every one had hearts on it. So this is my granddaughter. The left-hand page was them with me alone. The right-hand page was them at different times. A lot of them are times that I spent with them. And this one was a client's. They were BFFs. They were roommates in college. They were now turning 60, still BFFs throughout life. And so she did a book to surprise her friend. And her groupings were 1 to 3 photos. And she put a little paragraph in each one, just kind of reminiscing a little bit about it. And that's it. Picture this photo book, whimsical, casual, formal, and always uniquely you. The end, as I curtsy, sitting down. Okay,
Good job. Good job, Karen.
thank you.
All right, good.
So
So
now for the hard part. Any questions?
this is the part she gets nervous about because she doesn't know what your questions are going to be. All right, so we'll be gentle at first. So
Oh,
you're saying that you're able to design basically all types of photo book, big and small. Um, and a lot of the times a trip makes sense because we're excited about going to trips and stuff like that, right?
Elvira, I do have a question.
Yes, I do. Thank you. That was great. I love what you do, Karen. I love your creativity. I love your heart, and I love hearts in general.
Thank you.
I'm curious because I just spent 6 weeks in Italy on what I call my magical sabbatical, and I have like over 500 pictures. And I'm just wondering, since you charge by the page, what could a book cost me based on my 500 pictures, roughly?
You know
I
what?
know it's a ridiculous question, but just approximately.
I couldn't begin to tell you. And the first 20 pages are included in the price. I guess I
Oh,
forgot to say that. See, that's why I should have been reading it, and I ended up talking instead of reading.
no, no, it's okay.
So yeah, so the first 20 pages are gratis. I mean, they're just part of the price. And then anything over that is based on page. And it's very hard for me to tell because, as you saw, there are some pages that can hold 20 photos. There are some
Right.
pages that hold one. There are some that there's one photo going across 2 pages as a spread. So it's
Mm.
really difficult. There's no way for me to guess. I can guess a little. I don't really know until I'm doing the book, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
and the price of the book, I mean, depends on, the options. There are different sizes. There's one price for gloss, one price for matte. There are different types of paper. Honestly, I use the regular paper. I don't even use the extra paper. The only reason I might want to do that if it was a wedding, possibly, or maybe artwork or something like that. But I use the paper that comes with it generally. And so the prices range from a 6 foot, I was going to say a 6 inch by 6 inch. Actually, I can show you here. If I show you the books, which is why I did this one. Let me share again. I did this so that you can always see the difference. So there's a 6 inch by 6 inch, which is on the top row, the one that says hey in blue and white, and the orange and white one. Excuse me, they're 6 by 6. The other ones, the trip to Italy and I remember, and that size is an 8.5 by 8.5, which is a great size. Um, the largest square is 12 by 12, and it goes 6 by 6, 8.5 by 8.5, 10 by 10, 12 by 12. And then the other sizes are 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 8.5, whichever configuration you want. The largest one, which is in the right hand upper corner, that's a wedding book, is 11 by 14. So you have all these different sizes. And so a 6 by 6 um, soft cover is $250. And that goes, that just goes up in price depending on, as I say, the cover and the paper and all of that. The most expensive book is a very large, the 14 by 11. And it's a premium luster paper, which is the most expensive paper, and that comes out to $550. And everything else is in between. But I'd say the average price is run in the 200s and 300s.
Okay, perfect. I'll be chatting with you. Thank you, Karen.
And
Wonderful.
I
I look
must
forward
say,
to it.
Karen is speaking in the US, Elvira, so keep that in mind as well.
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay, okay.
But you
All
know
right.
what? I think I can do there we go. I think I can give you something off for the Bang members and How members. I would
Mhm.
give you a different price.
So, Karen, let me ask
Thank
you
you,
this,
Karen.
and then we'll turn off the video so that we can ask questions that you don't want to be recorded. Um, what's the best way to get a price on exactly the book that we want? How do we get a quote from you, a direct quote on a specific book idea?
When we have that one-to-one conversation and I
Okay.
know what size you want, or you ask me about sizes. And and then I give you the price of what you want. You want an 8.5 by 8.5 hardcover matte finished book. That's what you're interested in. I can give you a price for that.
All
And
right. So
that
we
includes
need
the
a
20 page.
one-on-one with you is the bottom line to get exactly what
Right.
the price is going to be.
Right. There was something else I just thought of that I didn't tell you, and now it went out of my head, but I'll remember.
That's all right. It
Oh,
will come later. So
okay.
that's the deal. So if you can load your
Oh, I
information in
remembered.
the chat,
I
Karen,
remembered.
go
What?
ahead and then load your information in the chat afterwards.
Okay. So you pay full price. Some people order 2 books. Some people, this one guy ordered 10 books. He did pandemic poetry. And I guess he liked the book, so he ordered 10 more after that, I guess to give as gifts. So the first book is full price. After that, there's a discount and up till 10. And then if there's more than 10, like if you do a grandma's recipes or you do something, your legacy book where you want to give it to your whole family, there's a bulk rate. So, and I never know the bulk rate until I know how many pages. Again, it just depends on the pages and what you select.
It depends on the one-on-one. Okay, perfect.